All right, today we are going to estimate products. So estimating, as a reminder, means rounding. So rounding is back. Rounding is going to keep coming back. So if you're still shaky on your rounding, we need to practice it, okay? So estimating products is what we're doing today. This time, the only thing that's different is we're going to be doing it with 2-digit by 2-digit. So before we move into that though, I want to do a quick rounding review just because everybody I'm sure could use a refresher. So here's the basic rule. 4 or less, round down. 5 or more, round up. So for example, in the number 4,723, I'm going to round to the greatest place value. And to do that, that means I'm rounding to the thousands place. So I underline the thousands place and I look right next door. I have a 7 here. That is 5 or more. So that means this number is going to go up. And everything from the 7 on turns into, well, zeros. Okay? So that's 5,000. I'm going to give you another number and I want you to practice rounding it on your own before we move on. So this number is going to be 3,204. I want you to go ahead and round that one for me really quick. All right, with this one, so what we're going to do is we are going to round here, highest place value. That 2 is going to tell that 3. It's 4 or less, so we're gonna round down, meaning this 3 is gonna stay the same, and everything after it is gonna turn into a 0, 3,000, okay? Anytime you're asked to just estimate, unless they give you a specific place value, just assume the greatest place value. That's okay to assume on that, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you an example now involving 2 by 2 multiplication. So the problem we want to do first is 21 times 14. Okay? So this problem wants us to estimate, and then we need to identify whether or not our estimate is going to be greater than or less than the actual product. So you've done this before. The only difference now is we have 2 numbers to round. So we're going to round the number 21. That 1 tells the 2 to stay the same and everything after turns into a 0. And we're going to round the number 14. That 4 tells the 1 to stay the same and everything after turns into a 0. Okay? So here's what I recommend here. There's 2 ways you can look at this. You can either look for a literal basic fact, so 2 times 1, and get 2 and then tack on 2 zeros because there's 2 zeros here. Or you can keep using, so 20 times 10 again, or you can keep using the strategy that we talked about before. That strategy is to look for your 2 by 1, so 20 times 1, and then tack on a 0. You still get the same answer. So whichever you prefer, you can either look for a basic fact because everything else is zeros. You can do that because everything else is zeros. Or you can look for a 2 by 1 and tack on just the 1 0. It's your choice, whichever you are more comfortable with. Okay, so then I multiplied and I got 200. Now my next question is whether or not 200 is greater than or less than the actual answer to 21 times 14. Well, in both of these cases, I rounded down, so I'm going to say it would be less than. If I would have rounded up both numbers, it would be greater than because the numbers would have gotten larger. Now, here's another question. What if I would have rounded one number up and one number down? We're not going to worry about that yet, so don't worry about those. You won't be seeing any problems like that today, because it's really too difficult to tell without actually solving the real problem first. So we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so I do have another problem for you. This problem is 38 times 35. So you are going to estimate. So you're going to round to the highest place value and then solve. And then I'd like you to tell me whether or not it's going to be greater than or less than the actual answer. All right, go ahead and try that. All right, so your first step is going to be to go ahead and round both of these numbers to the highest place value. So that 8 is going to tell that 3 to go ahead and round up to 40. Now looking here, this 5 is going to tell that 3 to go ahead and round up to 40. I have 40 times 40. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to think about this as 40 times 4. So I've got 4 times 4, which gives me 16. And I'm going to tack on 2 zeros. And I'm going to get 1,600. So now my next question is whether or not this is going to be greater than or less than the actual answer of 38 times 35. Well, both of these numbers rounded up to larger numbers, so I safely can say that 40 times 40, the answer to 40 times 40 is greater than the answer to 38 times 35. All right, let's practice one more of these before we practice a word problem. All right, let's go ahead and practice the problem. 57 times 25. Go ahead and do that and also determine whether or not it's greater than or less than the actual answer. Take some time to do that now. All right, so what you're going to do is you are going to round to the highest place value. That 7 is going to tell that 5 to round to 60. This 2 is going to tell, or I'm sorry, that 5 is going to tell this 2 to round to 30. Then we're going to look at 60 times 3. That's what I'm going to look at first. 6 times 3 is 18, tacking on a 0, and there's still another 0 hanging out here, 1,800. So my next question is whether or not this is greater than or less than my actual answer of 57 times 25. What do you think? Yeah, it would be greater than, because we rounded up on both these numbers. 60 is larger than 57 and 30 is larger than 25. Just like here, 20 is less than 21 and 10 is less than 14. That's why it was less than. Okay? All right, we have one more problem that we're going to tackle, and then you are free to work on your own. So, just give me half a second. All right, so here is our problem. A concert ticket costs $23. About, so that's our key word right here that we are estimating. About how much will tickets cost for a group of 22 people? So right here, we're saying a concert ticket costs $23. About how much will tickets cost for a group of 22 people? Go ahead and see if you can figure that out. So each ticket is $23 and we need 22 of them. Well, I am asking for an estimate. That's why it says about. So I'm going to go ahead and round both of these to the highest place value. That 2 tells that 3 to stay a 2, and that be a 0. Here, that 2 tells the 2 to go ahead and be a 0. So now I have 20 times 20. I see 2 times 2 gives me 4. Tacking on 2 zeros, $400. So it would cost about, and it's important to write that, $400. Now, this is something real world. Say you did want to go to a concert with your friends and you had 22 friends. So you guys want to all go and you guys kind of want to know about how much it's going to cost. This estimate is actually less than how much it actually would cost. So you need to be thinking about those things when you are rounding, because you're charging $3 less and accounting for two less people. So think about that when it comes to real world stuff. But all you need to worry about right now is rounding both numbers to the highest place value and making sure you're paying attention to getting enough zeros in and finding your 2 by 1 or basic facts. I hope that helps.